the afternoon of November the 17th, opening day of the first gun season here in Illinois. I'm back on the Wally farm, or the pond draw, this piece of permission that I've been chasing around this deer on. And I'm set up in this bottom stand. This is actually the spot where I had my last encounter with Wally, the last time I saw the deer, which was 7 days ago on November the 10th. I thought I saw him the evening prior on the 9th across the field with a doe. So the next morning I came in and hunted, checked the camera after I hunted, the camera that he's been on the most frequently, and 100% it was him that I saw the night before. He was on it, he was alive. Could not believe it. All that aside, that was the last encounter that I had with the deer. That was the last time I saw him. He ended up chasing that doe up on top of the hill here, and I don't know, he was running around up there for a little bit, and when it got dark I slipped out the back way. I checked 3 cameras this morning, and that was the last time he was on any of these cameras. I'm a little bit concerned. I'm hoping that the deer wasn't shot by somebody else or hit by a car. I'm thinking if either of those happened, I probably would have heard about it or seen pictures or something, but I'm hoping that he's just doing rut things, you know, chasing does, cruising. Maybe he's locked on a doe a mile away. I mean, who knows really. But he kind of did this last year during the rut with the trail camera data that we have of him from last year. He would be here for, be really concentrated here for several days, and then he'd be gone for a few. You wouldn't get a picture of him. And then all of a sudden, boom, he'd be right back. So I'm hoping that's the case. Hopefully the deer is alive. One interesting thing that I did want to talk about a little bit was when I checked this camera down here that I have in this bottom, just probably 50 yards away, in this little horseshoe where these deer come in and out of this draw, go to the top side up there, and then come down into this bottom. It took, I don't know how many, 4 or 5 pictures of him right there walking down that side. And it showed a really good view of where my arrow came out. And I couldn't believe it, really. The exit doesn't look as bad as the entrance, and I knew that it couldn't be because of the angle that he was at in that low spot of the field when I shot him. I knew that angle was decent, and so I knew that the exit had to have been lower than the entrance. And this was the first set of photos that we've got since the shot where you could clearly see the exit. And yeah, it's just crazy. They are incredibly tough. You know, the shot still was not a very good shot by any means. I was far back and way high, like I talked about earlier. I just wanted to touch on that for a second, but that's the first time I've seen that exit in any photos, or after seeing the deer on the hoof or whatever. I hadn't seen that exit yet, but nevertheless, the deer's still alive, to my knowledge anyway, even though it's been several days since I last saw him. But as of the 10th, he was very alive and very well, running his doe all around this field and chasing her around. So hopefully he'll be back in the area and possibly searching for his next doe this evening.
I just got back to my truck and was packing all my stuff up. Jonathan went back to that other piece of permission. We'd been getting pictures of that big heavy 9, the deer that I almost should have had a shot at last year in late season. He was coming in to the cut cornfield that I was sitting on in January. Same deer, he showed back up this year. This deer's, I mean, he's just a freaking tank. This thing is a bull. He had almost got an opportunity at him yesterday morning. He was hunting in a different stand and the deer popped up on camera. It was a little bit of a ways from where he was sitting, but he was hoping that the route that he was going to take to come out from where that camera was going to be within range, and he never did see him. And the video showed the buck, he was clearly with a doe, and the doe took him somewhere else, and he went the other direction, and Jonathan never saw him. But he went back there tonight, and apparently this time, I don't know exactly what the whole story is, but he just called me and said he was sitting over him. So that is freaking awesome. I am pumped. I'm flying over there right now and gonna go check this buck out.
I was getting ready to take my stuff down, and I was like, yeah, I'll look out in the field one more time, because what I was gonna do is I was gonna get down at 5:05, like 10 minutes until I shoot it, and I was gonna walk the bean field back and creep up over into this little, that little gully there.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, I'll look back, and I saw a doe that wasn't, those ones were back here originally. She was up here. So I was like, man, that's a different doe. So then I glassed her up and could tell it was a buck with her right behind her. And then he picked his head up immediately when he picked his head up.
Oh man, he's a tank.
I knew it was him as soon as he.
Yeah.
So I hurried up, packed my stuff up, scurried down the tree, and then went over in that gully.
Spot and stalk style.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was literally.
It's like the crown buck kind of.
Yeah, it was. I came out in this cornfield probably 100 yards.
Man.
And they were feeding this way. And man, she was out here, and I had her in the scope. I'm like, man, where is he at? I'm like, is this the same doe? Because it was like 2, 3, 4 minutes had just passed, and I'm like, I kept on scanning back behind her, scanning back. So finally, I took my eye out of the scope just so I could see like the horizon, And I was just sitting there looking, and finally, I saw his silhouette up here coming. And then I found him in the scope, and he dropped him right there.
Really? God, unbelievable.
It was I told you it was going to get western over there. Also.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh man, that is awesome.
Spot and stalk. She was kind of looking. I think she had heard me. She heard something over there. Now, of course, I spooked some cows.
Oh yeah,
coming, through that pasture.
Oh man, I'm so pumped. I'm gonna get some lights here. Let's go look at this thing.
Yeah. There it is.
Oh man. Oh, what an awesome buck, man.
Big old red forehead. Man, that was crazy. I mean, I knew coming in that if you saw anything out here, that's what was going to happen.
Right.
For them to feed all the way up there before dark, is not going to happen.
I talk about just going from 0 to
100%.
I mean, just like that.
About in the stand cussing. Holy crap! There he is.
That's what it's all about, right there.
This was one of the main targets over here, really.
Yeah. Oh, probably.
This buck and a couple others. But
yeah.
This buck for sure. I mean.
When he showed up this year, instantly knew what deer it was, but also just like, man, look at that thing. He is a tank.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like a linebacker.
Even yesterday morning when I saw him, and the picture of him that we got initially. Damn. Touch the antler?
Yeah. This is a good answer.
He's a big buck.
He's a baby. He doesn't me.
floppy tail.
Mouth. Yes. This is a baby. Baby.
He's got some bark in his.
And the me.
What do you think, Bubby? You want to
And
touch his
Mommy,
antlers?
I eat and be the. You did.
Oh, you did? Oh,
You
sorry.
did. And the tea, become a papa.
Oh, he's heavy, isn't he? Whoa.
He's got his points.
Yeah, in the eye.
Yeah.
This is a
A
baby.
little bird in his ear.
It's Foolie.
Oh, that's probably gonna poke your fingers in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a baby.
All right, you gonna help me drag it?
We got to drag him out.
Yeah.
Hey, baby, you want your hat on?
Saturday, November the 18th. It is the opening weekend of Illinois firearm season. And I actually had this guy within 100 yards from me yesterday morning, opening morning of the gun season. I just couldn't see him. I was in a stand where the stand's positioned. He was in a bunch of brush, bunch of CRP type stuff, bunch of hedge, locust trees, just real nasty brush, and he was in there chasing does and just had no idea where he was at until he popped out into a bottom field a couple 100 yards from me. And then eventually I could see him a few 100 yards away from me go on to the neighbors, and he was just running back and forth. He was running crazy looking for a doe, and he definitely found one because he was with her tonight. He came out at, I mean, it was 10 minutes before dark. I was actually about to get out of the stand, and I decided I'd look back one more time in the field just to see what was in the field, if there was anything new that I hadn't seen before I got down and went back to the truck. But I noticed a doe was out there that wasn't there prior, and I threw my binos up, took a look at her, and could tell there was a buck behind her. He was actually feeding when I first saw him, but as soon as he threw his head up, immediately I knew it was him. And I knew I had about 10 minutes to make something happen, and there was no way that they were going to make it to me within 10 minutes. So I actually got out of the stand real fast and made a little stalk on him, and cut the distance to, it was 128 is what I ranged her at. I had to get down in the pasture and kind of get down a little coulee and hop a fence and get into the cornfield with him, and the rest was history. I mean, he followed her right up here to 128, like I said, and I had to stop him, but it was perfect. I mean, I think it was 3 minutes till shooting. I think legal shooting light ended at 5:13. It was 5:10. It was actually a really, really cool hunt. I don't know if we've ever, well, I guess there was another one we put a stalk on before. You did anyways, the crown buck, but I don't know if I've actually put a stalk on a whitetail here.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, that's
it was
awesome.
It was awesome. Big mature deer. I wish we had history with the deer, you know, but unfortunately we don't. You know, as far as years prior, you know, we got permission on this property last year towards the end of season. It was the end of December, I guess it was middle December, we got permission on it to come out and do a little late season hunting. So didn't really have too much history with him. It would be awesome to know exactly how old he was, but I'll definitely be sure to send his teeth in to try to get an accurate estimate. But we think he's definitely 5+, no doubt about it, just from the sightings that Jordan had last year and all the pictures from last year and this year. So just a brute of a deer. Awesome hunt, awesome buck. Glad I'm able to wrap my tag around him for sure.